Creating with spirit is a key to awakening your spiritual gifts. Whether you're wanting to awaken your spiritual gift of intuition, of trusting that intuition, or whether you're wanting to have visions or be able to feel connected and feel that oneness, whatever your spiritual gifts are that you're wanting to grow, creativity combined with spiritual practices, it is key to awakening those gifts. Now, one of your most important spiritual gifts, which most people don't consider a spiritual gift, is your creative power. You are a creative being and you are meant to be creating. And so I got the download today to share creation time with you, because creation time is all about you following the desires of your heart of what you want to create. Now, you may be wondering or thinking, I don't know that I have any creative power, or that I don't want to create. I'm not necessarily saying I have a desire for that, but I'm here to tell you that you do have that. Yours may be buried more if you don't sense it. If you sense an urge, an intuitive urge to create something, then you have more of your spiritual faculties awakened, okay? Now, you have to ask yourself, are you acting on it? Because it can be a challenge sometimes to act on your creative urges because of our society, okay? So today, we're going to just have creation time. I'm going to share with you some of the different creations that I've been working on. Some of them are experiments, and that's the big thing about honoring that power of creativity within yourself, is the willingness to experiment, to try things, to experiment in that, when you do an experiment, you don't always know the end result, right? And so I try to let go, or either I use the word try again, but I do my best to let go of the word trying things, but more experimenting. Because when we try it, we sometimes go with our half-hearted energy rather than giving it 100%, right? And so when you experiment, you give it 100%, but you're not attached to the outcome, right? And so that's what's so great about experimenting with your creativity. And so one of the things that I experimented with, here it is, was I got an intuitive urge one day I didn't want to do a spirit guide, in the sense of, because my spirit guides, when I do them, I get a vision and I try to really tune in to what that vision is, what the blessing is. But I was feeling guided to just experiment. I want to play around with the paint. I want to just do what I feel like doing. And I had no idea what to do. So I actually took out an old canvas, and it was a 9x12, and I covered something up. I took something that, and one of the things about when you paint, when you create, sometimes you get winners and they look fabulous, and sometimes you get things that you go, oh, not what I was, desiring. But the thing is that, the experimental process strengthens your creative power. And so I took a bunch of black paint and I just stuck it on this canvas, and I sat in front of the canvas with black. Now, you see it's not black anymore. I have things on it. Let me hold it here for the smaller view. And I started to just go, oh, I feel like putting white dots. And I started putting little white dots on here, going down and here and here. And, that left brain, because I didn't measure for the center or anything, I just went boop, 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 with little white dots, rather. I said black dots, but I meant white dots on the black paint. And the black paint was wet. And if anything, anything about oil paints, that it could blend together. But I just started putting little blobs of white paint on there. And from doing that, I started to get this like star, snowflake. I don't know exactly what you call it. It's not done. But when I got done with putting the dots on there, I was like, oh, it felt like a little part of my creativity had been freed up. Because on this particular little experiment, I wasn't trying to be good. I didn't have an end result I was trying to get it to look like. I just started to put the dots so I could feel like I was allowing that creative flow, allowing myself to do what I felt a desire to do. And so one of the things about when you have creation time, there might be an end result you want, and you put that in there. And you also might want to just have an experiment and go, let me do what I feel like. Now, if you're an empath or highly sensitive like me, your feeling nature is so important to follow. You know, we're empathic. We feel the emotions of other people. And one of the things when you're an empath, if you're one there, you know you take on their emotions, right? Sometimes you start feeling someone else's emotions and you're like, and you don't know there's someone else's sometimes if you're new to recognizing you're an empath. And you're like, how come I feel this way all of a sudden? What's going on? So when you start to get connected with your feeling nature of what your intuitive guidance is guiding you to do, you can begin to know when it's yours and when it's not. Now, there's a lot more to this. I'm working on an energy product to like share with those who are empaths and highly sensitive, because one of the things I've learned throughout my spiritual journey, and I don't like to really talk about winning and losing, but the person with the strongest energy wins. Okay? And this is true in business, this is true in anything in life. And it's not about winning, like, let me defeat the person. It's about that person's energy will win if it's stronger, in that it will dominate, maybe as an empath, how you're feeling, what you're taking on. It may dominate, the energy will dominate maybe what happens. So if you're in a meeting, someone has strong energy, and I don't mean a bully, okay? There's a difference between strong energy and a bully. A bully, or someone who's like frustrated or angry, or tries to control, that is not strong energy. That is called dysfunction, and that they're trying to control because they're afraid. Okay? But when you have strong energy, when you have strong energy in yourself, okay, you hold your boundaries, you hold what your desires are, and that you're going to act on them. Okay? And so part of the creation time is about allowing yourself to experiment. So today we're just going to experiment. We're going to like try things out. Oh, thank you for sharing who you are. Hi, Jeff and Sammy. And feel free to give a shout out where you're from too, because you just never know. Someone might be from your area. I always tell people, give a shout out where you're from too. But it's about allowing yourself to experiment. All right. So I'd love it if anybody who's on wants to share. If you have a creative process or some form of creativity you like doing. I'm going to be doing painting here, but I do many, many different types of creative projects or methods, I should say, because I love making things. Are you like that? Do you love making things? So this creation time is not about what you create, but that you pick something to create. Now, if you're just seeing this and you weren't prepared, feel free to like just kind of be with me and the spirit guides, because my spirit guides are all here with me, and they were guiding me what to say today. I had no plan other than creation time. We're going to work on some things, and I just put some things out that I've been guided to bring here. One, this being my little experiment of the dots, so that you pick something. So I'm going to be here next Thursday at 3:30 Eastern time. I think there's time change happening this weekend, so if you want to come on. And the whole idea here, what I'm going to do is we're going to invite in the sacred energy. And by the way, I think I forgot to mention my name. I'm Deepa, and I call myself the creative mystic because I combine creativity and mysticism, which are spiritual practices, direct own experience, bringing them together, and it's what awakened my visions of spirit guides. I went from being a non-visual person to getting visions of spirit guides, getting downloads, where I create these spirit guide portals that help you to connect with your spirit guides, because spirit guides are all around you. Now, people will ask me, because I talk about oneness, they'll say, well, how can you have spirit guides and then think we're all one? I'm like, because it is all still the oneness. We're all connected, right? These are different elements of whatever you call higher power, to be God, spirit, Allah, Buddha, the universe, doesn't matter the name, that we're all one. And these different elements of spirit guides show up because it's what you're needing. So I got these visions in meditation to create these portals to help you with your spiritual awakening, because the spiritual awakening path is a process. It's a journey. Often people treat it like a destination, but it really isn't. It's about that continual process of awakening. And when you understand it's a journey, you'll stay on the path much longer. You'll stay till you're complete. Because what you'll notice is when you understand that it's a journey and that the awakening happens a little bit by little bit, you're not waiting for a big pizzazz or a little knock on the head or bonk on the head and all your problems are gone. Because often I find people who are on the spiritual journey are looking at, if I just become awake, if I just become enlightened, I won't have any problems anymore. And I tell people, well, awakening I've seen in my own path of awakening happens little bit by little bit by little bit for most people. Now, that little bit might be a bigger step for you, but I find that it's a process. And if you embrace that process, you will find things work out much better for you. Okay? So we're going to invite in the space of the sacred space, of creating that sacred space, inviting in the spirit guides. Now, I don't know who's going to come. I was guided to put up Holy Mary, Mother of Sincerity right there, and also Our Lady of Guadalupe. Someone else may come in, but I was guided before I got on live to put those two portals up here. They're blessing you as you're watching this. You can do a prayer to them, invite in their blessings, because we're all one, and they know, even though I can't see you and I can't actually have a conversation, you can put something in the chat, and I'd love to see it if you do. But they're here to bless you. And as we create this sacred space, it's about creating sacred space, not only just in my physical art studio, my sacred art studio, but most importantly, into your space. And the most important space is not just the physical space you're in, but the sacred space within yourself. Okay? How do you awaken that sacred consciousness, that sacred energy within yourself? And when you have that awake within you, that is when you truly create with spirit. Now, you can, the process of creating with spirit starts with an intention. That's how it started with me. It was not like like I said, I was a non-visual person. If someone did a guided meditation, I saw nothing, okay? But my intention and desire of wanting to create Yogananda, and he's not in here. I think, can you see him? I think I have a picture of him. I don't think you can see him. Yogananda into a portal, a painting. At the time it was just a painting. Now I know he's a portal. So that people would feel his energy, his vibration, his blessings. That is what began my journey on this path of creating spirit guide portals and getting the visions and being able to see your personal spirit guide that's here to help you with manifesting your purpose or overcoming a challenge. It all began with following that intention, that desire, that heart's desire, where I loved painting and creating these spirit guides. But at the time, they weren't spirit guides. It was, let me paint Yogananda. Let me paint Our Lady of Guadalupe. And that was the beginning. And so it really is like, how do you create that sacred space? And I began to create the sacred space, not knowing that I was doing that in my art studio where I painted, and also within myself, with that one desire, that one true heart's desire, that I want to create Yogananda with the energy and blessings, that when people saw it, they would feel blessed by him, they would feel his energy like he was when he was alive. And so even though I'd never met him, I'd seen him in recordings and heard him singing and heard him talk and recordings, that I would intend that and imbue it into that, and allowed Yogananda to be the painter of that portal. Okay? So how do we start to create that sacred space within you? And it starts with ringing the bell and saying hello to spirit. Now, you can, if you have a specific spirit guide that you work with, maybe it's an archangel or an angel or a fairy, whatever it is. But even if you don't know what it is, just say hello, spirit. Hello to my spirit guides. If you're desiring to connect with your spirit guides, the first thing is welcoming them in, even if you don't notice them. Because my experience is that they are always communicating with you. It's just maybe you don't understand how they're communicating with you. Because most people are looking for it to come through the heard word, like I can hear them speaking to me. And for most people, that is not how they begin to communicate with you. But your intention of welcoming them in and being open and receiving of them will begin the process. Okay? It's one of the things I help people with, is helping them to connect with their guides and understanding the spiritual higher guidance they're getting so they can actually apply it in their life, because that guidance is there to make your life better, to help you grow faster, to help bring more flow and ease into your life. Because if you're struggling, it's because you're not listening to that guidance. So let's begin, okay? So just take a moment right now. Take a deep belly breath in and out. And even close your eyes for a moment if you can. Take that deep belly breath where the belly rises with the inhalation and falls with the exhalation. And on that next deep belly breath, just draw on the energy of focus. And on the exhalation, let go of any distractions, any business of the day. And just continue to breathe in and out. And as I ring the bell, I want you to say hello, hello to your spirit guides. See, and affirm and welcome them in, saying thank you for coming. I'm open to connecting. And they're also telling me to say, and I'm listening. Okay? So let's start with ringing the bell. Say hello, spirit guides. Feeling the vibration of the bell penetrating the fibers of every level of your being, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Say hello, spirit guides. I'm open to receiving thy communication. I welcome thy blessings, thy transformation. And they're saying to affirm, I am listening. And say, I'm listening. And say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And the reason you say thank you is because thank you means you've received it. So it is done. I'm going to light a candle. This is actually lighting a ghee lamp. Ghee lamp. Just lighting the ghee lamp to invoke their presence and energy of transformation, because fire is transformative. It turns one thing from one form to another. Like if you put paper, it goes from paper to ash almost instantly. We light the Palo Santo to release any negative energy and transform it into higher consciousness upliftment energy. I'm just putting this out to you. Just welcome the transformative effects of the smoke. And you might be thinking, how is that going to help to do this when we're in two different areas? But remember, we're all one. There is no barrier between us, even though it seems like there is. But this camera allows us energetically to connect and to allow ourselves to welcome in the energies. All right? So, Hi, Linda from Wisconsin. Appreciate you sharing. I love it when people come in and share, especially when you say where you're from, because one, it's fun for me to get to see that. It's so fun to be able to see you when um, connect with you, I should say, because I know I can't see you, but connect with you through this medium that can bless people. And it's one of the things that I am here to do, be, do, and have. So I want to bless you with whatever my spirit guides guide me to share with you. And so they're really talking about creation time. So if you have something that you came to create, yay, I want you to take it out and we're going to create. And now that you've invited in the spirit guides, you're going to welcome in. If you just came in, this was my experiment. Today we're using the energy of experimentation. It is not about judging. It is about experimenting. And one of the things I was looking for, something. Oh, this is what I've been working on during the week, which is not an experiment. It's the healing hands that I've been working on. They're not done. And I get this vision often of healing hands sending healing light. And as I picked it up, my healing hands told me to send you some healing light. And it's actually not me sending it. They want me to send the healing energy of the healing hands to you who is watching this. So to offer up whatever it is that you've been wanting to heal from. So it may be that you want to heal a false belief that's been limiting you, that's been stopping you from taking that next step. You know, one of the ones I'm working on, because the beauty I love about being on the spiritual path, it's like you don't have to be perfect to help another soul. See, I share from my experience. I was given that guidance many, 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 many years ago to share from my experience, to share the experiences I have that give me ahas, that help me progress on my spiritual journey. And when I first got that, I did not know what that meant because I was so used to keeping all that private and not sharing it with anybody. And because of the way I grew up, I thought, well, who'd want to hear it? And so when I started to share little bits of it, I started to see that people found value in it, that it helped them. And so I'm still a work in progress. It's something I still work on. But the latest thing that I've been working on is the word power. What does power make you feel when you hear it? I spent years hearing that word power and feeling like I was uncomfortable with it because I felt like I'd seen people what I thought I called an abuse of power. And so I felt like people were abusing if they were powerful in a position of power, that they were abusing that power. And so that made me go like this. And it's something I'm still working on. This is not like a done realization on this one. This is actually something quite recent. But it was like, ooh, I was like holding myself back. And so they're wanting me to actually talk to you about that like for me, like when I'm holding that up and I'm welcoming in the healing energy, it's about healing that belief around power, that if you have power that you would be abusive doing it, or if you that powerful people are that way, to heal that, because there are all kinds of powerful people who aren't abusive, but it was something that happened when I was young, and so it made a belief on me. So it could be you want to heal a belief. It could be you want to heal something physically. It could be you want to heal the relationships in your family, whatever it is, okay? So they're asking you to offer that up to the spirit guides in this creation time, because part of awakening your gifts with creativity is kind of there's like three things that have to happen, okay? It's your willingness, obviously, okay? But then there's that healing process of what beliefs are stopping you, and then the empowerment part for you is how do you learn and start to apply the spiritual truths more effectively in your life, okay? So the healing hands, even though it's not a completed portal, want me to send 3 ohms out to you to welcome in the healing energy of the vision of the healing hands, because they're telling me as I'm doing this that you have healing energy within your hands and that you want to embrace that spiritual gift, that spiritual power. And the more you can actually release the belief that you are less than, or not enough, not good enough, not young enough, not old enough, not skinny enough, whatever that not enough is, they're asking me to ask you to offer it up and allow these homes to help just open the door to your healing process so that this creation time can be the blessing it was meant to be for you. And just say thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so let's get started. We're gonna work on experimenting with this. So this creation time is meant for experimentation. It's not about trying to be good or trying to do something that somebody else loves. It's about experimenting to allow that creative power within yourself to come forth, to allow your creative power within you. So we do all the prayer and the chanting and the not that I chant, but I mean like the so that you can get into the space to help that flow come through of what it is you want to do. Now the thing is you don't want to get caught up in, oh, I want to make the best whatever. Because when you're trying to be good with something, especially if you're new at something, it takes you out of that creative connection. And that creative flow is all about connecting to the oneness, to spirit, to your spirit guides, in whatever form you feel like you need to do. And today, we're just going to, I'm going to keep experimenting with the dots because that's what I got to do. So, dots it is today. So we're going to create the dots. I'm going to keep putting little dots in here because that's what I was called to do when I started this little process. It was about experimenting with allowing the flow of energy to come through me. So sometimes when I get on here, I forget to do a little prayer before I start. So I always do a little prayer about moving my little self aside and letting that great light, that great infinity, that great blessings of oneness, of God, of Buddha, of spirit, to flow through me. And if there's a specific spirit guide that is speaking to me, I welcome them and embrace their blessings. So as I'm doing this, Mother of Sincerity is actually coming through. And Mother of Sincerity is talking about that when you experiment, it is all about a practice of sincerity. And it's about being sincere to yourself. She says we often look at sincerity as something as like you be sincere when you tell somebody something or you do something for somebody. But she's saying that this is a practice of sincerity when you experiment with your creative power of being sincere to yourself. And being sincere to yourself is about listening to your heart's desires. Do you have problems with hearing your heart's desires? I'd love to see it in the chat. If you have, just to know, are people having that challenge? Do you know your heart's desires? And if you're not willing to put it in the comments, just say, acknowledge that with yourself. Are you listening to what your heart's desires are? And if you listen them, if you hear them, if you know what they are, do you act on them? Because part of being in that flow of creation time, that's an experimentation, is being sincere to what do you want to experiment with. Now, experimentation, Mother Sincerity is saying that it's meant to be something that is a heart's desire. You're experimenting to see, like, how does it make you feel? Is it something I'm supposed to do more of? And I just did a video about lack of clarity, but it's all about your intuitive breadcrumbs, you know, because, and if you want to go check that out on my channel. But it really is, you know, it's so important to have clarity, and I find so many people are not clear. They're clear on what they have to do for the day, as far as if you have to pick up your kids, or you have to do the laundry or cook the meals, or you have to go to work. But beyond that, like, we're all here for a divine purpose. You are meant to be this joyful, amazing spiritual being, because you are this amazing spiritual being. And part of having that joy in your life is when you follow those heart's desires. So maybe you know what they are, but maybe you don't follow them. And part of that is about getting the faith to trust that it's actually really higher guidance. Because if you really trusted it, you would act on it, even despite your fears. That's the one thing I've learned about having these spiritual gifts of vision of with the spirit guides and having a connection with them, is that trusting the guidance enough to act on it, even if you're afraid. Because people often think, well, if it's higher guidance, won't I do it and won't be afraid? And that has not been my experience. You know, higher guidance comes, and most people, it goes on by, because their fear prevents them from acting on it. Anybody been there? Maybe you get guidance, but you don't act on it because you're too afraid. And the big thing that what happens is most people go, well, I wasn't sure it was higher guidance. And that's your subconscious programming, just trying to keep you where you are. Because your subconscious mind wants safety, security, sameness. It wants to keep you in the same spot you've been in, because that's what makes it feel safe. So it doesn't really want you to move forward. Even if you're not happy with everything in your life. So Our Lady of Guadalupe is talking about the creation is already finished. And so if you've ever done any manifestation studying about the laws and such that are happening, we're not really creating something that doesn't exist. We're becoming a vibrational match to it. By doing that, then it draws it to us, and then manifests in physical form. So this is my experiment, which is following the dots. And as I'm doing this, the other video I just released about lack of clarity was about, you got to follow the breadcrumbs if you want clarity. If you go check it out, if you want to learn more about it. But I realized all these little dots are kind of like the breadcrumbs. So I'm going to start making this creation time. I don't know if it's always going to be experimentation. I'm going to do it next Thursday. So if anybody wants to have some support, and support can just be being around in the energy of someone else creating. Have any of you ever struggled to actually do your creativity? I know I still do. I have times where that program mind comes in that tells me I need to do the practical things, and then I'll see myself, I haven't painted now in how many days. One of the beauties about doing this time with you guys is I paint. I love it, I paint with you guys. I share what I'm creating. Now, most of the time I was I wanted to share. I finished Archangel Gabriel. He's not varnished yet, but he is complete. This is the latest spirit guide. It's what I created on most of the lives. It's Archangel Gabriel and the flying horse. It's a spirit guide portal that is blessing you with miracles are here. All things are possible. And they're coming with that energy and vibration, so that if there's something in your life that you've just been struggling with trying to make it different, they're coming to actually help bless you with the energy that all things are possible. Anything's possible. It can change. You're not stuck with it. And when you get into this energy of all things are possible, that's when the doors open for you to be receptive to the new and different thing you need to do that's going to create the actual change that you want. Because obviously, if you're not liking something in your life, right, you got to do something different. Can't do this, expect something, where they say you can't expect a different result if you're doing the same thing. So you got to be open to doing something different, new and different. And that's the scary part for a lot of people, right? Isn't it funny? People want something new that's fun and exciting, but they don't want to make the change because that's scary. And it really is just your perspective on it, because when you go to something new, like maybe you're going to go see a new concert or take a new lesson on something you want to learn how to do, you're probably not too afraid to go to that. But maybe you've been too afraid to make a career change or do something that really has true meaning to your heart, not just something for money. I know was a lot of my challenge in my journey was, I was able to make a lot of money as an outside straight commission sales rep for many years, served me well, bought me a house and cars and vacations. But then it became a point where I wanted to do something with more meaning and had to figure out how to do that and go down that road of how can I bring more meaning. Have you been there where you wanted more meaning in your life? What I figured out with that meaning, that me wanting more meaning, was I wanted to make I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to do stuff that mattered. And I had to change what that definition was. Because of growing up in a very logical, responsible family, I did not think art was something that made a difference. And these spirit guide portals, I've gotten the blessing of hearing from some of my clients who get their personal spirit guide portals or work with me in a mentoring program where they start to trust their intuition. I've gotten to see how it does make a difference, because my spirit guide portals volunteer to help give that higher guidance to any mentoring client that I work with, whatever we're helping them with, whether it's grow spiritually, grow their business and grow spiritually. There's always the growing spiritually, because I tell everybody, if you're in your own business or you want your own business, be prepared to grow spiritually, because that's what even though they don't tell you that about, oh, you have to grow spiritually when you have a business, I have found that when you have your own business, it's going to bring up every little thing that is your biggest challenges. And so how do you face those and grow and step into them? So I meet so many people who actually love some kind of form of creativity, but they're too afraid to actually go out and venture into trying doing a business with it. And no shame in it. I mean, you got to go where you are. But I'm here to help you think in possibility, that things are possible. So it's my little dot art that I'm actually quite enjoying. The other thing that's different about this little experimentation that I'm doing is I'm putting this paint on where it actually is raised in lumps on the canvas, and that's not something I usually do. I usually paint things very smooth. It's kind of something that I like doing. But it's kind of fun to have there to be texture. And that's the experiment, is trying something I haven't done before. Whether sincerity is coming through, saying, anybody who's hearing this, if you're hearing this right now, if you're listening, you watch this in the recording, if there's any area of your life that you feel like you're dissatisfied with, that's a spot where you need to start experimenting in. That the experimentation process starts to put you in possibility. That if you just stay doing what you're doing without experimenting on something new, you won't see possibility. That possibility comes from experimentation. And they're thinking that, so they're saying, she says, think about, like people who are scientists, they experiment, and as they get a little bit more information in their experiments, they start to see all this possibility that wasn't there before. And sometimes that experiment doesn't give them the results that they thought it was going to give or hoped it was going to give, but then they see that that process happens through experimentation. I'm going to step out of the screen for a minute just to see how's it looking. One of the things about oil painting, you got to step back, see how it's going, see where you want to add things, because it looks different when you have the close-up look as opposed to a look from the distance. And this is so representative of spiritual truth, is that one of the things about, in your own life, I tell people we all have a blind spot, and it's ourselves. And because, what in our own lives, right? We're so close up to it that we can't necessarily see where something needs to be different, what I need to do change. And so you'll go around and around, and you might have moments of like being clear or thinking you're clear, and then feeling confused again. And that's because you're too close to it. So when you work with a mentor, a spirit guide, they give you that objectivity, that distance. And what I give my clients is the self-reflection that maybe they're not noticing or seeing. And then the spirit guides give that higher guidance, higher consciousness that could be they give guidance that I wouldn't even known because it wasn't something you shared and I didn't know about it, but they seem to know, and they say what needs to happen even though you haven't said anything. I've had it happen so many times with clients where guidance comes through and I don't really know why it is, I just share it. And they're like, oh, it's funny you said that. And they go tell me, what it is, why they think it's interesting because something happened in their past or there's something they're doing that they haven't shared. So I know that I did this impromptu creation time, and I've said that if people would like to be part of it next week, to please subscribe. At least I think I might have said that. If not, I'll say it again. You want to subscribe, turn on your notifications so you'll know when I schedule it in. It will be the same time next week as far as Thursday at 3:30 Eastern Time. So if you'd like, please subscribe. I always like show my little, oops, got it upside down, my little artwork that I do for having you subscribe. Just feel free to subscribe. If you like what you're seeing, give me a little thumbs up. It's my little hand I made out of clay. And turn on your notifications, my little bell, because that way you'll know when the next live is happening. And of course, if you know of anybody that this would help them, please be a blessing and share it, because I really believe when you actually go out and want to bless people, you might call that word help people, life is better. So be a blessing in the world and share this video or share my channel with anyone you think it might help. If anybody wants to share what they would like to experiment with, I'd love to see it. And you want to ask Mother Sincerity a question. She's saying she'd be happy to answer. Mother Sincerity is that spirit guide right there. And she's all about helping you step into being sincere in your life. And that sincerity is actually, another word for it is authenticity. Following your heart's desires. That's why there's hearts on there. I don't know if you can see it from that far away because it's a smaller portal, but it's about what are those heart's desires that you have. If you're not happy, or as happy as you'd like to be, like if there's some area, it means somewhere in your life you're not following your heart's desires. And when can you start listening to it? But there's also that element of listening to where you are in your spiritual development, in your physical health, emotional health, mental health, because all those things affect your abilities. And it doesn't mean you can't have what you want or be successful. It just might be done in a slightly different way when you accept that. Step back again, get that bigger view, because it helps me to see where I want to add to it. You know, one of the things about experimenting here on my YouTube channel, this is a step in my spiritual growth because of the way I was raised. I would like, out of the programming, lead with my competence. And what I mean by that is that I would not like to show when I wasn't good at something or it didn't look good. Or anybody like that? Are you like that? Where you like to look like you have it all together? Well, I used to be that way. I still am that way in the sense of it's a stretch, you know, for me to let me just experiment on here. And that's the beauty about growing spiritually is you just go, you know what, I'm going to go give it a try. And the one thing that I have been good about doing over the last, I don't know how many years now, but quite a few years, is following that divine guidance, even if I don't know how, even if it's scary, because it's led me to some really great things. It's led me to things that I would not have even imagined. So when you actually follow that, you don't always see it all right away, but you can but if you pay attention and keep moving forward, you eventually go, here's why they led me this way. Here's what's going on. So, but I think today, I was thinking about maybe spreading a little more paint on here, but I'm actually feeling like this might be it for today. Kind of feeling it out. Any questions or anything? I see there's a few people on live. I'd love it if you have a question or you want to share something and a little aha for yourself. I'm going to turn myself around here for a minute. This is my little experimentation. Still, whoops, a little paper fell off of there. So it's not done, I don't feel. And that's the thing about art is my wife always asks me, like, how do you know when something's done? And as an empath, I tell her, well, I get a feeling. She says, you get a feeling? How's that feel? I said, oh, no, it just feels complete. And that's the thing about when you're looking at creativity is, when does it feel right to you? You know, when does it feel like if you want to do something, if you want to experiment with something, what's going on with it? So, but I've really enjoyed experimenting. And I'm going to be back next week, Thursday, experimenting. I'll be working on these healing hands. Like I said, they gave a blessing earlier. If you weren't on earlier and you want to get the blessing they sent, go ahead and you can. That's the beauty of technology. You can rewind it and check it out. Oh, and the last thing, I don't know why they're telling me to do this, but you guys like bubbles? The one thing about bubbles, I used to love playing with them when I was a kid. And bubbles, when you blow them, of course this little thing's not coming out right now. They're like these little, there we go. Like when you blow them and you blow out. Whoop, remember that when you used to catch them? So like they were telling me to blow the bubbles because they want you to see that by blowing the bubbles, by blowing, it's like the same as creativity. I don't know why they're saying that, but they are. They're saying like it lets out the kid in you. That's what they're saying. They're saying that if you struggle to know what's true in your heart, they're telling you to go out and buy some bubbles and play with them like you were when you were a kid. Because they're saying the bubble blowing, you can't help but feel like a kid when you do it. And the important part to start to know your heart's desire is bring forth that kid in you. Because think about it, when you were a child, did you have problems struggling with what you wanted? No, right? I want this, Mom. I want this, Mom. Now, some of those wants are probably wants because someone else had it. But, you see kids that they know what they want. And what parents often say, oh, well, you can't have that, or you're not being realistic. And I'm a believer in if a kid tells you they want to be a basketball star or they want to be whatever they want to be, you encourage them. Because it's about honoring what their heart is telling them so that when they grow up to be an adult, they can honor that. And so they're telling me that you need to start honoring your heart's desires, and the way you start to get connected with it, what they're suggesting is blow some bubbles. If there's something else like finger painting, you can do that too. Yes, Lil, that's very true. I tell people all the time, when you're doing creativity, don't try to be good. In fact, be willing to suck. That's like this little here is I'm not trying to be good at it. I'm just putting the dots on the way I feel called to. Because yes, that is a great aha, Lil. Yeah. But you don't even want to try. You said when you started because then you interfered, you disturbed the balance. I'm suggesting that you don't ever try to be good. You try to follow that intuitive pulling, nudge, urge, because the trying to be good gets you in your ego. And when you can let go of the trying to be good, amazing things can happen. When I let go of trying to be good, I kept doing my best to move myself aside. I created Our Lady of Guadalupe not that long after I started to paint. Same thing with the Yogananda, with my heart chakra angel. That was totally, I got a vision, and then I felt just what I was being pulled to do. Not any idea like whether it's going to be good. Now, I'm not telling you my voice doesn't come up. It's like, this doesn't look good, because it does. But I do my best to try to let that go. And when it starts to say it doesn't look good, I go, no, this is going to make it better. This is going to make it look good. We just don't know how yet. And I go from there. So, but thank you for sharing that, Lil. I love it when people share. Tell me, especially their ahas. I'm a big aha person. I love ahas. In fact, I'm going to be doing another video on an aha I just had about manifestation and consciousness. And it's not even just an aha, it's evidence that I got. And I'm going to be sharing that in a little video to kind of illustrate a spiritual truth. So that's going to be done in a pre-recorded video. So if you want to check that out, I'd love it. Any last questions before I tune out? Because I'm going to be turning off here in a minute or two. If no questions, Lil, if you have anything else to share, I'd love to see it before I actually let it all go. But always been a great blessing to be here and share this with you. And next week, as far as I know, it's going to be another creation time. I don't know what I'll be saying. It'll just be flowing through with the spirit guides, giving me guidance of what to share with you. So I'm not seeing you put anything in there, Lil, but thank you again for sharing that. And blessings to you all. And I'll see you next week or in one of my other videos. All right. Blessings. Have a blessed day.